What's good, everybody, man? You already know who it is. It is your boy, Jerryfit. And we are back to react with what's new on the tube, man. Today, we got a nice little conspiracy video. I've been fucking with the infographic show for the past couple of days. They showed up on my feed with the 100 Men vs. Gorilla video. And they've been kind of dropping bangers ever since. Like, I saw this, and I immediately knew I was going to react to it, dude. I was taking a final when I was trying to look for videos to react to today, see what my schedule was going to look like. And I saw this, and I damn near wanted to just bomb my final so I could react to this. So I'm very excited to get into this video and react for you guys. I hope you guys are excited to watch this one. 9/11 Chica said they don't want you to know, man. I'm not going to jump off the bat and get myself in trouble here. I'm just going to let the video do the talking. The common conspiracies that you guys have from 9/11 or from the aftermath or anything around that time, because I like to learn about conspiracies, and I've seen some pretty interesting 9/11 conspiracies. So I want to see what you guys have to think, and I'll let you guys know what I think too throughout the video based on what these guys are saying. But yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. Calm little video, get your snacks, get your popcorn, maybe take some notes.
And more on this episode of the Infographic.
It's always a deeper meaning, man.
9/11 that don't make sense. September 11th, 2001.
I'm excited for this.
The world was shocked as coordinated terror attacks hit the United States. Members of Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda terrorist cult hijacked planes, using them as weapons to hit high-profile targets. 2 jets slammed into the World Trade Center in New York City, killing over 2,000 people and reducing the iconic towers to...
We're bringing you the reactions that no other reactor is reacting to.
For the Capitol building was brought down in a Pennsylvania.
Everybody else would be scared to react to something like this, man. I'm out here bringing you that real shit.
Everyone knows someone who questions the official story of 9/11. They usually have...
And right off the bat, I obviously... prayers to the victims and the families of everybody who had lives lost on 9/11. You know, like, that stuff is not a joke. Like, you may see me laughing and shit during the video because something is like clicking in my head that I knew from the past. But like obviously nothing is funny. You know, real lives were lost during that day. So just want to send my prayers out to the families going through it. Like, this is not a video trying to make fun of anybody. Just, you know, just genuinely trying to find some more information on what happened that day. So.
Elaborate rant about how jet fuel can't melt steel beams. And when you question them on what actually happened, they'll tell you, well, the lizard people just want us to think the towers blew up. Those conspiracies have been explored and debunked many times over. But over 20 years later, there are still some things that just don't make sense.
I gotta get a retwist, bro. My hair feels so annoying. I got a fire retwist coming this week, bro. You guys are gonna like it. I'm excited to show you.
Who grew up in its aftermath. Unlike most terror attacks since, the attack was extremely low tech. The terrorists, organized in groups of 4 or 5, boarded planes holding only box cutters. They took the plane hostage, forced the pilot to give up control or kill them, and then piloted the plane into its intended target. It seems like a well-planned, if simple operation. But there's one thing that still raises some eyebrows. Why did Mohammed Atta travel to Portland, Maine, right before the attack? On September 10th, 2001, Mohammed Atta picked up his fellow hijacker, Abdul Azia Al-Omari, at a hotel in Boston. From there, they drove in a rented car north of Portland, almost 2 hours away. Surveillance footage captured the pair checking into a Portland hotel that evening. They were also seen making ATM withdrawals, browsing the aisles of a local Walmart, and in the parking lot of a nearby Pizza Hut. Some believe Atta was conducting surveillance detection, making sure no one was tailing him. Others think it was a strategic move. Security at Portland's airport might have been lighter than at Boston's. Another theory was that he was planning for last-minute delays or meeting with an unknown accomplice. Whatever the reason, on the morning of September 11th,
I didn't even know that there's an airport in Maine, bro.
Once he landed, he received a call from Marwan Al-Shihai, another 9/11 hijacker, believed to be the Green Line.
I don't know any of these guys' names.
American Airlines Flight 11, crashing into the North Tower. Despite years of investigation, Atta's trip to Portland remains one of the most mysterious pieces of the 9/11 puzzle. Number 8. One of the scariest things about 9/11 was the uncertainty in the immediate aftermath. Thousands of people died, but very few bodies were found. Almost all casualties in New York and on the planes were essentially vaporized, with their families desperately seeking any evidence of their loved ones so they could have some degree of closure. Many disappeared without a trace. One was Sneha Ann Phillip, an Indian-American physician who was last seen on September 10th near her home in Lower Manhattan, shopping at a department store. She likely made her purchases and went home, and then no trace of her was ever seen again.
That's so crazy.
The 9/11 victims, there are no reports of her being on site, and no eyewitnesses ever reported seeing.
So, dude, yeah, think about all the other crimes that happened that day, like, that have no trace because, like, all of the first responders were obviously en route to the towers. Dude, that's so crazy how much crime you probably could have gotten away with that day. I feel like probably she's a victim of, like, a kidnapping or something. That's so crazy. I didn't even think about that. Like, that really, like, opens my eyes.
Family has reason to believe that she was there. She was a physician, and she might have gone to the World Trade Center to offer medical assistance. But few of the doctors who were on site went into the towers themselves. Instead, they were helping people who were injured after a
yeah, why would she disappear if she went to help them?
Due to falling debris and fires, those were the bodies most likely to be recovered intact. Multiple investigations by the NYPD and a private investigation commissioned by Philip's husband turned up nothing, which has led many people to wonder, is everything as it seems? Philip had a troubled past before the events of 9/11, being fired from her job at Cabrini Medical Center due to tardiness and alcoholism. She complained to police that an intern had groped her during a staff night out. The case would later be dropped, and Philip was charged with filing a false police report. It seemed like her life was spiraling before the terror attack. Could she have faked her death or died in another way? And it was completely ignored in the chaos of the terror attack.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Suing to have her officially confirmed as a victim of the 9/11 attacks, allowing her to be honored officially. And in 2008, an appeals court gave them their wish, and she was added to the Ground Zero Memorial. That's the legal outcome, but any hard evidence remains painfully hard to come by.
At least they got some closure, man.
Confusion reigned. Number 7. Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda terror network quickly claimed responsibility for the attacks, and he became the world's public enemy number 1. But he came from a very big family, the son of a billionaire.
And I actually know about that family. Yep, the U.S.
children.
And if you don't know, the U.S. actually knew or had ties to his family for like a while, bro. Did we even? I feel like did we watch another conspiracy video? I don't know if we watched another conspiracy video for the reaction channel, but I think I was watching one. Oh, actually, this just reminded me, dude. Netflix is dropping an Osama bin Laden documentary today. That's tough, bro. I'm gonna have to watch it with my girlfriend. But we know that the family has ties to America, so this is not new news. You know what I'm saying?
business people with devoutly Muslim beliefs. They had no affiliation to terror groups and viewed Osama as a
Oh wait, no,
conspiracy.
we watched the
2001, the
documentary on the India Pakistan where I think that's where we're getting some knowledge. So
family was spread around the world.
y'all go
including
check
the
that video
United
out if
States.
you haven't
It
seen
was
it
one
yet,
of the
man. The
strangest
70-year
affairs that
war.
took place in the days after the attacks. Flights were grounded for 2 days and strictly regulated after that. And it would be several weeks before one of the most controversial flights to happen in that time was revealed. On September 13th, 12 members of the Bin Laden family who were in the U.S. were put on a plane and evacuated back to Saudi Arabia. When this was revealed, it caused some outrage. Why were the relatives of our enemy being evacuated?
Why do you think, bro? It's always about the money, man. I'm willing to bet that these guys still had ties or still in business together when this shit was happening, and they wanted to make sure that they could get out. And when I say they, you know who I'm talking about, man.
And many asked, why were they such a priority? This was conspiracy fodder of the highest degree, with some arguing it showed that the government was in on the attacks, or at least collaborating with the Bin Laden family. But less conspiratorial individuals said that most of the Bin Ladens in the country were high school and college students. And besides, money talks. Reportedly, the evacuations were...
Education reacts, smartest reacts, dude. I'm the one, dude. Let me tell you guys something. You guys better start fucking with me, bro. What did I say? Money talks, bro. Money talks.
Kickstarted when one of Bin Laden's brothers sought help from the Saudi embassy. Saudi Arabia had good relations with the Bush administration thanks to their many oil deals and geopolitical...
Bro, that shit really just makes me laugh, bro. It's literally so easy to see all this shit.
Due to fears of
All you have to do is look past what they give you at face value.
And the government has been tight-lipped about it ever since. But one figure might be at the center of it all.
I don't know what's in my eye, bro.
The biggest question regarding 9/11 has always been, who knew? The most common suspect has been George W. Bush. Many people insist that the U.S. president must have known in advance and allowed the attacks to happen so he would have an excuse for war. There's no evidence for that, but his close ties to the Saudi government continue to draw scrutiny. Almost all of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, and so was one of the most mysterious figures related to the attacks, Omar al-Bayouni. Did this Saudi intelligence agent know what was coming? Although of Egyptian descent, al-Bayouni's family has settled in Saudi Arabia, where he became a well-connected figure with reported ties to the Saudi government. He also reportedly had close ties to known terrorist associates, including helping 2 of the eventual hijackers find housing in San Diego. And by the time the attacks hit, he was gone. He was in the UK pursuing a PhD when the towers fell, and 10 days later he was arrested in a joint US-British operation. The evidence of links to terrorist associates was strong, including many phone calls to a key Bin Laden associate, Zayed Khalil, and the Saudi Ministry of Islamic Affairs cleric Fahad al-Tumari. Al-Tumari denied knowing Bayoumi, despite telephone records showing at least 60 calls between them. But the British weren't able to produce any hard evidence of his knowledge or involvement, and they ultimately released him. He would soon return to Saudi Arabia and disappear from the map completely. His association with the attack has never been fully proven, but an FBI report indicates that they believe there is a better than even chance that he was a conspirator. But if anyone wants answers, they'll have to find him first. But there's one site on ground
What do you guys think he
that
is?
more controversy than any other. Number 5. In late 2002, of the 9/11 hijackers, Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi rented a room in San Diego from a man who was an undercover FBI informant. The informant, whose identity has never been released to the public, was a tested asset for the Bureau. He prayed with the 2 men
I'm so
and helped them adjust
confused.
to life in the U.S. He even assisted one of them in opening a bank account, but he never provided their names to his FBI handler. And perhaps more importantly, the handler never asked. At the time, al-Midar and al-Hazmi were already persons of interest to the CIA, having attended an al-Qaeda summit in Malaysia just months earlier. The pair moved into the informant's house in September 2000. Al-Midar moved out 6 weeks later, and al-Hazmi left by the end of the year. During that time, both men attended flight school in preparation for the devastating attack. It wasn't until after the 9/11 attacks that the informant recognized the names being reported.
I'm gonna need to know what the qualifications are to be an FBI agent, bro. You mean to tell me you had all this information the entire time and it clicked after? If they're already persons of interest from the CIA, shouldn't you just be reporting to them the entire time that they're staying with you, telling them about like what's going on? You mean to tell me you helped them open a bank account and help them get like flying lessons? And no, I'm not gonna blame, like, maybe they just didn't talk about the attack around him. Like, I'm not gonna say that it's his fault single-handedly for the attack, but like, bro, if you were doing your job, reporting what you were supposed to, I'm pretty sure the CIA would have been able to pick up on the fact that they were probably planning something not so great.
Reported in the media.
That's just bad, bro. What are the qualifications?
His roommates. There's no evidence he intentionally concealed their identities, but it still remains a glaring example of miscommunication between intelligence agencies. A CIA alert naming the 2 men as potential terrorists had been issued on August 23, 2001. But by then, the opportunity was gone. As one counterintelligence expert later queried, why didn't the agent ask more questions, or at least explore the possibility of recruiting new assets? And it wasn't the only mystery that lingered on 9/11. Number 4.
That's so crazy
the
to me.
last person killed in New York on 9/11, but he wasn't a worker in the towers or a first responder. His name was Henryk Shiviak, and he was a Polish immigrant minding his own business in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Bedford-Stuyvesant. A former Polish government worker, he was visiting his sister in New York and decided to get a job to send money back to his family. While he didn't speak much English, he was a hard worker and managed to get a job as a construction worker. But on that fateful day, he would meet a shocking end. After his job site shut down for the day after the terror attacks, he walked across the Brooklyn Bridge and went to interview for a job cleaning a local supermarket. Through a series of miscommunications, he was given the wrong directions for the store address, and he went to what was a fairly dangerous crime-ridden neighborhood. There, eyewitnesses reported hearing an argument, followed by his own gunshots. Shiviak was found on the pavement bleeding out from a fatal gunshot wounds to the chest. And over 20 years later, his murder has never been solved. Not surprisingly, this was mostly attributed to one thing: the police were completely occupied by the massive terror attack in Manhattan. It left zero resources for investigating.
Dude, and we talked about that earlier. Like, how much crime do you think was committed once they realized, like, the opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like, not like New York City's like Gotham or anything, but like, I'm willing to bet a lot of crime went down, a lot of professional like crime went down once they saw the opportunities. You know what I'm
Homicide. This is like Shevak's case to gain extra notoriety. But even in the best of times, a murder where the murder weapon is never found is extremely hard to solve. But there were other odd factors to the killing, such as the fact that no money was taken from Shevak. Did his killer think that the mild-mannered foreign man might have been involved in the attack? The cold case is only getting colder, and it's far from the only false accusation of involvement that has cropped up. Number 3. While some conspiracy theories relating to 9/11 are more outlandish, with people claiming the towers were destroyed by explosives planted by the government, most of them simply focus on who to blame. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, a lot of suspects, including the U.S. government, had fingers pointed at them. But in years later, conspiracies focused on another target, Israel, who were among the greatest enemies of Osama bin Laden. And people who insist that they must have been involved even point to some specific targets, the so-called dancing Israelis. So, what made this theory stick around
I never
so
heard of
long?
this theory before.
First off, there's no evidence that anyone else was involved in the 9/11 attack beside Osama bin Laden and his network of terrorists. He proudly took credit for the attacks. But some people insist that a group of Israelis was arrested near the towers a short time after 9/11, reportedly laughing and celebrating the attacks. There's no evidence of how they were acting, but a deep dive into government files did reveal 6 Israeli nationals were arrested in Lower Manhattan and later deported back to Israel. It's believed that the 6 men were likely Israeli intelligence agents here collecting information on the attacks. Israel viewed Al-Qaeda as a serious security threat at the time. Many countries likely have spies in the country at all times, and it only becomes a serious issue when they're trying to access secret or high-risk information. But in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, security stepped up big time and deported a lot of people who may have been slipping under the radar.
Bro, that's so crazy to like just think about how there's like spies like literally walking among us or like even like becoming friends with us like on a daily basis. Like if you really think about it, like you never really know who someone is. That's so crazy. That's so.
So they went back, leaving a trail of decades-long conspiracies behind them. But if there's one question that's been lingering all these years, it's this. Did anyone know? Some of the more outlandish conspiracy theories claim that the attacks were masterminded in the United States, but most simply allege that it was allowed to proceed without being reported. Some claim the government wanted to have an excuse to start a war in the Middle East, while others claim a massive insurance scam on the World Trade Center. But no evidence has emerged of advanced knowledge by the top power brokers of the time, but it did emerge in a very unlikely place, a high school classroom. It was September 6, 2001, and English teacher Antoinette DeLorenzo was greeting a new year of students. Her class was heavily composed of Pakistani immigrants, and one of the boys made a disturbing comment to his Bensonhurst classmates. He claimed that the World Trade Center wouldn't be standing next week. She chalked it up to a bad taste teenage joke, but then watched in horror as the prophecy came true. She quickly called the authorities, and the FBI and NYPD tracked the boy down to interrogate him. So, did this boy have advanced knowledge of the world's deadliest terror attack? All these years later, we don't have a clear answer. The boy claimed he was only joking, and his family backed him up. But the coincidence was such that many people were dubious. The police ultimately decided that it was just a case of the world's worst timed joke, and no charges were ever filed. The most convincing evidence was that none of the hijackers involved in the attack were of Pakistani background. 15 were from Saudi Arabia, 2 were from the United Arab Emirates, and 1 from Lebanon, 1 from Egypt. That makes the connections needed for this random boy to overhear talk about it much less likely. But maybe the most bizarre story to come out of 9/11 indicates that a lot of people may have known, and they made a lot of money off it. Number 1. Was there insider trading on 9/11? It's one of the biggest scourges of the investing world. People who have advanced knowledge of an event profiting off it by making trades on the stock market. It's what sent Martha Stewart to prison, and many senators faced allegations of it during the COVID-19 pandemic. The most common source of it is when people who work in a specific company know that the company is about to be sold or make a big announcement. They buy or sell more shares while the price is right. But would anyone sink so low as to profit off a terror attack and tell no one? It was only a week after the attack when the Times allegedly.
Dude, what even kind of question is that? Do you know like the world leaders, the people that lead us, and how greedy they are? What even kind of question is that?
The paper announced that it was investigating whether unusual trades happened as a result of advanced knowledge of the attacks. A massive number of shares of insurance companies and airlines were sold off before the attack in countries in Europe, as well as Japan and the US. This was especially high in the case of United Airlines and American Airlines, the 2 airlines whose planes were used in the hijacking.
That's
It
looking
was
crazy.
the highest amount of these stocks ever traded on the Chicago Exchange,
Nah.
and the investors who sold made millions off it. The possibility of insider trading was raised with the 9/11 Commission, and the fact finders eventually found explanations for the unusual trading. Both the trading of United and American shares, which happened on different days, were linked to trading strategies circulated by investment newsletters. There was a thorough investigation by the SEC into the American-based trades, and by intelligence agencies into the foreign trades, but no evidence of advanced knowledge of the attack was found. But that didn't stop the digging. As the post-9/11 era wore on, damaged hard drives were discovered in the ruins of the World Trade Center, which were transferred to an elite data recovery company, Convar, for retrieval. The German-based company conducted an investigation for U.S. authorities into possible evidence of criminal insider trading, and was able to restore several hundred hard drives over the next year. However, the 9/11 committee in 2003 stated that they had not received any valuable information from the hard drives. With no
Hard drives that they
evidence of
won't let us
insider
see,
trading,
right?
Much of the discussion of the topic has turned on speculation. As late as 2010, an independent report claimed that there were at least 13 informed trades that would only make sense if the investors knew something big was coming. The international team of experts pointed to an unusual increase in trading activity in the days before the attacks. But with no hard evidence, no one has ever been charged for insider trading, and it's likely they never will. If someone did know and used it to make money rather than dropping a dime, it would be the biggest scandal in the financial sector's history. What do you think is the most overlooked detail about 9/11? Share your thoughts below.
Dude, that's gonna do it for this video, man. That was really interesting. I thought it was a great look into the world of, or not the world, but the events that happened in 9/11. Like I said at the beginning, rest in peace to all the victims and everybody that was affected by it. I'm sending my prayers to your family. It's just crazy how like we live in a world where anything is possible. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how the government is so shady that we have to kind of find out the answers for ourselves, because they're never gonna give us the real 100% truth of what happened in an event like this. You know what I mean? Like there's always strings being pulled to make sure that someone is benefiting off of something. Like there's just no way that they take they take losses. You know, they manipulate events and things going on in the world daily to distract us from what they actually are trying to do. So I like this video. I hope you guys were able to enjoy this video. Like I said, if you have anything crazy you want to comment, let me know. We're bringing you all the reactions that other reactors aren't, man. We're not afraid to react to anything over here. I like the conspiracies. I like it all, man. So send me stuff that you want me to react to. And as always, see you in the next video.